Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. We start with an absolute gong show of a game last night in Raleigh. Game 2, Stanley Cup Final. Vegas and the Hurricanes. Of course, Vegas won Game 1. Crazy play to start. Do not watch this replay if you have a queasy stomach, because this shot up high, yikes. Right in the face. Out of the game. I'm not going to spend too much more time on it. Out of that, though, is Braden McNabb left the game for Vegas, one of their best defensemen. So they're down to basically 4 defensemen in the game. Didn't seem to bother the Golden Knights. Brett Howden, who was the overtime hero, you remember, in the semifinals, gets in a mini breakaway, beats Freddie Anderson. It's 1-0 Vegas after 1. In the second, somehow they let Howden get through again, sleeping as Carolina's D, and Howden scores his 13th goal of the playoffs. 13! It's 2-0. Everyone thinking, all right, Vegas is going to go up 2-0 in this series. Into the third period, it's still a 2-0 score. Finally, Logan Stankoven with a little wraparound to beat Carter Hart, and finally, the Hurricanes are on the board. It's 2-1. Same score, 7 minutes to go in the third. You think here that Carolina's offside. Instead, they're on, and Mark Jankowski scores. Look at this. It straddles the blue line, stays onside. Jankowski with a perfect wrister, and the game is tied at 2. After that, we had absolute chaos for the last 4 minutes of regulation. So here we are, still tied at 2. Vegas gets an opportunity to try and take the lead. Watch the puck here. The referee initially will wave it off and say no goal. But the puck is in the net. Watch again. Freddie Anderson tries to cover it up. It squirts loose and is in. Now, they call this on the ice. There was goaltender interference. Vegas challenged it. They lost the challenge, giving Carolina a power play, and the Hurricanes deliver. Jordan Stahl will tip home the Shane Gostisbehere slapper, and Carolina leads the game at 3-2. That all happened within about a 10-minute stretch last night. You think it was over? Nope. Carolina takes a terrible penalty, and of course, what happens? Vegas will score. Mark Stone, the captain, knocks it in, and we're tied at 3 with 80 seconds to go in the game. Look again. Stone just whacks it in on the rebound, and of course, we're going to play overtime in Game 2. Vegas takes a penalty, so Carolina has a power play. Seth Jarvis blasts it on a one-timer, and Carolina wins it in overtime, 4-3. That main line for the Hurricanes had been dormant for the last couple games, and they came alive when they absolutely had to in OT. And the Hurricanes get a much-needed win. You can't go down to Vegas down 0-2, and instead this series is 1 game apiece now, with Game 3 coming up in Nevada tomorrow night. What a game. I mean, even if you don't like hockey, got to enjoy that. That is the 8th straight overtime win for Carolina in the postseason. That is a stat that's outrageous. Game 3 now will be tomorrow night. You'll see that live on WDAY. Coverage begins at 7. After the Point pregame show that starts things at 6:30. Then they'll take a couple days off. Game 4 will not be until Tuesday. They'll have Sunday and Monday off, so Tuesday will be Game 4 in Las Vegas. And we know a Game 5 will be necessary. That'll be a week from yesterday back in Raleigh. And with that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic. That was a crazy game for this 5th day of June 2020. 26. Great to be with everyone. Hope you're off to a great start, ready for a tremendous weekend. It is a parking lot Friday, which means there's few and far people here at the station, but we're here and ready to rock and roll here on a Friday. That's a great way to start the show. As I mentioned in the highlights, even if you're not a huge hockey fan, the first 2 games of this series has been everything you could have wanted, and then some. 2 one-goal games, both decided late in the third period or in overtime. If you're the NHL, you're like, all right, we couldn't have asked for anything more than what we got so far to start. So Game 3 coming up, as I mentioned, tomorrow night back in Las Vegas, where if you saw any of the shots there from T-Mobile Arena, which is the home of the Golden Knights, they are, let's just say, amped for what they're going to see from their favorite hockey team coming up tomorrow. A lot to unpack here on a Friday. We got a great guest lineup we'll get to in just a little bit, including the return of our guy Cory Provus, which is a perfect segue to the Minnesota Twins, who are continuing their homestand last night with Kansas City coming to town after the Twins took 2 of 3 from the White Sox. We got a lot to talk about with Cory Provus here this morning because there's plenty going on with I'd say a mediocre to poor baseball team right now. And last night was a perfect example of the roller coaster ride that is the Minnesota Twins in 2026, where you have some unbelievable highs, you have some terrible lows. In the middle, you've got some okay play. I mean, that was kind of everything that happened last night with Kansas City. They were starting former Met great Seth Lugo was on the mound for the Royals last night, facing Byron Buxton to start things. And Buxton looks like he's heading for a second straight All-Star game appearance. This is absolutely crushed after Casey got one in the top of the first. Buxton homers again, his 18th of the season. Then you have not necessarily a great pitch from Andrew Morris. It's just a bit high. It allows a run to come in to score. Makes it 2-1. Victor Caratini, bottom of the second, hits one deep to center. That's going to score Luke Keyshaw. We're tied up at 2 in the second inning. Now here's some good play. Cody Clemens. Cody Clemens has the second most amount of home runs on the Twins over the last calendar year. Think about that stat for a second. He gives Minnesota a 3-2 lead. We pick it up now 4-3 in the 5th. How about another one? Are you serious? That's his 8th of the year. Again, Buxton and Clemens have the most home runs on the Twins in the last year. It's 5-3. Anthony Bonda is in and gives up this double down the left field line off the bat of the catcher Carter Jensen, who's the leadoff hitter, by the way. Play at the plate, and it's safe there on the run. Watch again. Caratini is just late on the tag. Game is tied at 5. Now Bobby Witt Jr. up. Now here's playing out bad. I don't know what's going on here. Keyshaw is out. Also out is Arcia. Nobody makes the play. Come on. We had everything from Major League in this game. We had a pitch like Charlie Sheen that was 6 feet outside, and then we got 2 guys dropping the ball. Then you got Victor Caratini homering after the rain delay. We had an hour-plus rain delay last night, so for the diehards that stuck around, they got to see that. They also got to see the lead vanish in the top of the 9th inning. Miguel Rojas with a base hit up the middle. I don't even know who the Twins were throwing last night of the 9th inning. That ended up being the decider. It was a lot in it. For a game in early June, that had a little bit of everything. Royals win it 8-6. Final score. Again, Kansas City had 8 runs, 12 hits, no errors. The Royals see the Twins go for 9 hits, 6 runs, and commit 2 errors last night. That was a little bit of everything. Game 2 tonight at Target Field. We'll have more with Cory Provus coming up later on in about a half hour to unpack. I'd say an eventful last week where Bailey Ober gets hurt, and he blamed the rain delay and slick baseballs for why his elbow is injured. Simeon Richardson gets released, then traded. Royce Lewis hitting the cover off the ball and playing second and first base in St. Paul. There's a lot to talk with the Twins play-by-play guy, who's got the night off because the Twins are on Apple TV tonight. More on that later on in the show. Last thing before we set things up, we decided the NCAA softball champion last night. Texas Tech was trying to force a Game 3 against Texas in Oklahoma City. The Longhorns only needed one win, and they could repeat as national champions. Patrick Mahomes, the Texas Tech alum, was in the house last night trying to cheer on his Red Raiders. We pick it up bottom of the third. Lauren Allred hits a ground ball. It's bobbled by Leanne Good. That allows Texas to get on the board. And we're tied up. We move to this game now. It's top of the fifth inning. Again, Texas Tech had just all sorts of issues in the field. 2-1 score, top of the seventh. Caden Henry bombs this one for the Longhorns. Solo shot, part of a 2-run inning to give Texas a little bit of breathing room. It's 4-1. They have Tegan Cavan, who is the best pitcher in college softball. You'll remember she came in out of relief in Monday's game, closed it out, then won the other elimination game. Pitched brilliantly in game one. Red Raiders are down to their final strike. She gets the strikeout. Texas wins a second straight national championship. 4-1 the final. Cavan was sensational again. I mean, it's like bringing in Mariano Rivera in his prime. She struck out 5 in the final 2 innings. Was the most outstanding player award, becoming the first pitcher with 2 shutouts and 2 saves in one Women's College World Series. Let me repeat that again. She became the first pitcher with 2 shutouts and 2 saves in one Women's College World Series. Other than that, she was pretty ordinary. Congratulations to Texas, as they are the softball champions again in 2026. That only leaves us with baseball. That's the last sport to be crowned for the athletic year of 25-26. And, of course, we're into the super regionals for college baseball. We'll give you more on that later on, because if we can somehow duplicate what we had from last weekend to this weekend, and we haven't even got to Omaha yet, then look out. We're set for what's going to be a crazy time. But congratulations to Texas as they bring home the national championship last night. That was a good, honestly, last night, like Monday, was a sneaky good TV sports night. Didn't expect that in early June between the softball championship, because that was a good game. A hockey game was off the rails. The Twins provided at least some unintended comedy in their game. And we had some breaking baseball news that's not great from my dad, who's on his way to Yankee Stadium, that Aaron Judge is going to be out probably a month and a half with a rib fracture. I didn't want to text him this because I didn't come down till late last night, so I'm sure he was already sleeping. But Yankees star will be out 4 to 6 weeks as they determine his level of healing in the next steps. But he has a broken rib. The club had feared worse. The outfielder underwent an MRI, CT, and X-ray scans. Was evaluated by multiple doctors who specialize in thoracic outlet syndrome. That's the nasty elbow injury there. That could have sidelined him for the remainder of the season. The Yankees have 100 games left. The Yankees said in a statement Thursday that Judge is expected to return at some point this season. Was diagnosed with a stress fracture in one of his right ribs and a partially collapsed lung in March 2020. That's stemming from diving for a ball in September of 2019. So, Yankees have the Red Sox this weekend as well. We got a lot to get to. Action-packed Friday guest lineup here as we wrap up the week in style. As I mentioned, Cory Provus back with us. Will join us at 9:35 to give us an update on the Twins as they get set for Kansas City for the next 3 games after losing the opener there and where things are at. We're now past 60 games of the season, and some other decisions have to be made, including one on Royce Lewis. Matt Wallner hit 3 home runs yesterday for St. Paul. When are these guys coming back up? Do they come back up? We'll ask Cory that at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, North Dakota State women's basketball had a busy week. They added one player for the upcoming season, and they've added a fifth commit for the class of 2027. Cami Nauholz will join us from Lawrence, Kansas, 6'2". She can ball as well. We'll talk about her committing to North Dakota State. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, one of our favorite guests back with us, Riley Sunram, will join us from Kindred, North Dakota, set to enter year 3 with the Minnesota Golden Gophers and hoping for some big-time play for him this upcoming fall. We'll chat about his upcoming season. Also, the fact another monster Kindred offensive lineman, defensive lineman is going to be heading to the FBS. We had Luke Starcevic on earlier this week. We'll chat about that with Riley. He got it all started just a few years ago. So that's coming up at 10:35 to wrap up our week. So great guest lineup, which is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We'll take our first break. We come back. Here is the old man warning, because apparently it is a large deal of the news that broke that North Dakota State is in the new college football game. We'll discuss that when Hot Mike returns after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Off and rolling here on a Friday. Should be a pretty nice day. It's going to be a warm weekend. Looking forward to that with plenty going on. Of course, we got Game 2 NBA Finals tonight. Stanley Cup resumes tomorrow. We'll get you all the info on that before we are done. Now, in this next story, I'm going to preface right now, this is full old man warning on this, because my timeline blew up yesterday about 8 o'clock, 8:30 with the apparently early advance of the new EA Sports college football video game that comes out in a few weeks. I believe July 9th is when it's set to be unveiled. Now, for a certain section of our audience, you're going to immediately roll your eyes at me, or just, if you want to mute me, which is not the first time that's ever happened, feel free. But this is a big deal for a lot of people, including the actual North Dakota State football team, because the game was reinstituted a couple years ago. I remember we were in Las Vegas at Big 12 Media Days, and they were very excited about the game coming back. And they had all sorts of the Big 12 players going and talking about it, and they actually took photos with it. It was a huge deal. So this has been a couple years in the making. And apparently, again, I don't play – I gave up video games about 30 years ago. Not that I'm some high-evolved person, but I was done. I unplugged after that. If there's a game that I see, if my son actually now plays him, then maybe I'll get – he's in Mario Kart now. That's about the extent of what I do video game-wise. But this is a large deal to a certain section of audience. So the last 2 years, if you wanted to play – and people can correct me if I'm wrong on this, if you wanted to play with North Dakota State and the Bison, you had to create it on your own because they weren't in the game. FCS teams weren't in the EA Sports video game, as I understood it, because that was the big thing when the game came out the last couple summers. You had to create it on your own. Well, that is now done, because North Dakota State will now play FBS football come July 1, that they are now in the Mountain West Conference. This is what it apparently looks like, according to some screen grabs that were sent out and put on social media last night. That doesn't necessarily look like DJ Scott, but he's got at least the hometown right. You see the Mountain West patch on the Bison jerseys. Again, this is like the biggest thing. And apparently it is lucrative to the school, because there are royalties that are paid to the institutions that are used in the game. So this is actually financially lucrative to NDSU, that they're now in it. According to Ryan Collingwood, who covers Missouri State, and from Darren Ravel, in EA College Football 26, schools get paid based on how much gamers play with their team. So last year, Missouri State ended up finishing number 69 out of 136 schools, and number 2 in Conference USA in team usage in EA College Football 26. It's Missouri State announced in a public meeting when they had this. It ultimately equated to over $100,000 back to us in royalty payments. So evidently, and I've sent out a couple of feelers here to EA because I used to play Madden like everybody did, at least for me, 30 years ago, because this is now a story to me to see, A, how big a deal this is and how financially it can be a big deal to NDSU. Because already the amount of people that have reached out on this is astronomical, honestly. The people that are excited that NDSU is going to be involved in the college football game. Again, I'm an old man. This is past my deal, but it's kind of neat to see. I actually dug up this from February. This is the day that NDSU announced they were joining the Mountain West Conference. We had a chance to visit with a small group of players, Griffin Empey, Keenan Wilson, Nathan Hayes, and one Donovan Woolen. And I was chatting with Donovan about, the excitement of going into the new league in FBS football, and he organically brought up the EA college video game.
Game now, so that's pretty cool.
Tell me about that. Now, you might be able to play yourself in the EA.
Oh, most definitely will be playing myself. Yeah.
How much is that a big thing you guys talk about? You had to create an issue, and now you want to do that?
Oh, definitely. Everybody's talking about that. That the chance to be in a game. You grow up wanting to be able to like Madden or college football. It's awesome.
Eric, if we can re-cue that and play it again from the top, just so we don't miss Donovan's first part, that would be great. Just let me know when you're ready to play it again. Because he brought up the part on the video game. I did not. Okay, go ahead. Let's play it again.
A cool part is that we're going to be in the college football game now, so that's pretty cool.
Tell me about that. Now, you might be able to play yourself in the.
Oh, most definitely will be playing myself. Yeah.
How much is that a big thing you guys talk about? You had to create an issue, and now you want to do that?
Oh, definitely. Everybody's talking about that. That the chance to be in a game. You grow up wanting to be able to like Madden or college football. It's awesome.
So, again, the interest level is high among certainly the football team itself. And I think once we get to early July and this gets released, this could be a really big deal for Bison football. Again, here's another unintended consequence of moving up to the FBS division is that you're now part of this. So, again, for a certain section of our audience, they probably have no idea what I'm talking about. For others, this is the biggest thing ever. It's probably bigger than finding out that NDSU could play in a bowl game or anything like that. Now, here's the thing I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen the Fargo Dome mock-up. Unless that hasn't been released yet, or maybe it's just I haven't looked for it in the right spots because I'm no video game maven. But that I haven't seen. Sacramento State is in there as well. The commercial that EA dropped, the teaser that EA dropped yesterday, had NDSU, Sacramento State facing one another in it. So they are locked and loaded for the new game, which, again, for a certain section, this is the biggest thing ever. And for college kids, this is huge. I can remember definitely playing NHL 97 with a bunch of my college buddies for all hours of the night. Now, granted, that's 30 years ago. I'm just going to flat out say it. I'm old. But that was cool at the time. I can only imagine now this game for that section of college kids that this is a big deal. So we'll follow up on this just because there's newsworthiness to it. A, they're in it. B, there's apparently some financial incentives for Bison fans or whoever to play with North Dakota State, that the more you play NDSU in the game, the more money then royalties go to the school because they have to sign off on using because Eric, you may know this. I don't know if you play or not, but if people do and they can email me, if you recreated the game, did you actually have like the helmet logo and all that? That part I don't know.
Yeah, they had the helmet. Somebody went through and created the whole Bison team. So they had you had to download it, but they had like the helmet logo and everything.
Was it licensed though? That's the thing, I guess. I'm wondering.
I'm not sure about that one.
Because that's how the payments come in, because you've got to use the official license of the Bison logo, name, all that stuff that now NDSU will get paid out of it. That's according to Darren Ravel, who knows his stuff. So there you go. That's another offshoot of a story that we're going to be following here going forward with FBS football. Last thing before we break, I mentioned it off the top in our previous segment that, yeah, it's going to be nice out this weekend. There's no reason that you can't be following anything else in the sports world. The college baseball tournament resumes today, and we highlighted this earlier in the week over Best of the Weekend and on Tuesday's show because we are now down to the final 16 teams. And you've got some blue bloods in there. North Carolina, Auburn is there. But you've got some teams that maybe have no business there. Cal Poly is there. You've got the matchup of the Trojans, Little Rock and Troy facing one another. How cool is that? And this is now best of 3, folks. So this may be a little bit easier to follow than last weekend because that's the regional. You have double elimination, all that. This is best of 3 to move on to Omaha. And 4 games today, and then 8 games tomorrow, and then potentially 8 more games on Sunday and 4 more on Monday. So this is going to be awfully entertaining. You've got Kansas has never been there before. You've got a blue blood matchup with Oregon and Texas. Mississippi State and Georgia, all SEC. St. John's is there to play Alabama. So you've got an opportunity here for some really fun teams to either never made Omaha, haven't made Omaha in a while. The scene in West Virginia is going to be crazy. Already, the school president tweeted out this morning that there's not enough room for everybody, but fans that are turned away will get free pizza rolls, apparently. So if you got pizza rolls and the college football video game, then you're all set, apparently, for the weekend. But that's what's on tap, and we'll be keeping our eyes on that. Come Monday, we'll know, I would say, maybe the entire field, maybe half the field that'll be going to Omaha a week from now. I'm telling you, folks, normally June is kind of our low period. That ain't the case here this June because you've got, obviously we're in the middle of the championship series with both the NHL and the NBA, right? We've got College World Series going to start next week. A week from now, the World Cup is going. And I know for a large section of people, that is big deal. Big deal with the soccer championship. And it's here. It's in the United States, in Canada, in Mexico. The U.S. men's national team plays a week from tonight for their men's World Cup opener. So, yeah, we got a lot going on in June. Going to be fun to follow here over the next, what have we got, 25 days left in the month. We'll break. We come back. Our guy Cory Provus is waiting. We'll chat plenty on what's been a roller coaster week for the Minnesota Twins. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this.
Deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive. Left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
All right, it's great to have our guy Cory Provus back with us here as the Twins get set for Game 2 with the Royals after I would say we had a little bit of everything in the game last night. Rain delay, there were some highlights, there were certainly some lowlights. That game last night kind of was emblematic, I think, of the whole last week. A lot of ups and downs, Cory, what's going on with this baseball team.
Yeah, they dropped 7 of their last 9, and if you just go more recently, Dom, on this homestand where they're 2-2, the difference starts and ends with the pitching. I mean, getting, the length that they received from Connor Prelup and Joe Ryan compared to a short start from Taj Bradley Wednesday. And, bullpen games to me are always a coin flip and how they're going to go and where guys are slotted. Andrew Morris, whom we've seen more late in games, getting a chance to begin the game for 2 innings. And then the Twins held the lead at 5-3. And you're thinking, okay, the Royals, before the rain arrived, had their worst bullpen guy. In fact, former Twin minor leaguer and Steven Cruz. His ERA is over 8. He's walking the world. You're maybe one pitch away, one batter away from him coming in. And then how that impacts the rest of the game, we'll never know. But then out of the rain delay, Caratini at the home run, which was great. But just, the defense has been poor. And I normally don't listen to the post-game show, and I think we've talked about this before. And even when I was doing radio, I'd tell Chris, hey, don't take it personally. I don't listen to the game. When I'm in my car, my brain is elsewhere, and I got music and Pearl Jam that I'm going to. But last night I did want to hear what Shelty said, and I like the fact he wasn't shy about his comments too. Walking too many guys, bad defense. It's a bad recipe to win.
Yeah, just and that's and the play that happened in the middle of the game where the ball dropped behind second base is emblematic of what you're talking about. Like somebody has to make to make the catch.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the shortstop's ball, and I think you don't need me to say that. I mean, Paul Mahler, Hall of Famers to my right, he's like, that is the shortstop ball. Now, Paul did defend Keyshaw in this regard. That came before the storm arrived. The wind was picking up a little bit, sensing that some weather was coming, and maybe as Kreidler was going back, Keyshaw, maybe he noticed the wind more than Kreidler did. But still, Kreidler is a good defensive player. He's done this long enough that I think he'll make that adjustment. And, two guys not used to playing together very much. I think, if that's, a different pairing, perhaps it plays out differently. But, I think Keyshaw is frustrated in a lot of ways right now. Offense, defense, he's trying to do everything. Yeah. He's such a strong-minded, really hard-nosed player, blossoming leader on this team that, for him, separating his offense from his defense, I think is easier said than done. So I think he's trying to do everything. He's trying to do more. But that was a routine play that not just a major league shortstop is going to make. Heck, maybe even some T-ball players might make that play. So that was not a great play last night, and kind of epitomized, how the game went at the end there.
All right, a lot of topics here I want to hit. Let's start first with the release and then trade of Simeon Woods-Richardson. Obviously, it had not been good this season. What do you take out of that? Especially, I look at it, Corey, this is a team that needs starting pitching, but they figured he's that bad that we can't have him on our staff anymore.
I am honestly surprised that there's more outrage about it, because I don't look at it that way. I think, his time came and went, and nice guy. I mean, really nice guy. And I didn't see this coming at the end of last season. I thought this guy looked like, in my mind, a number 3 starter entering the year with the way that he finished. He had a great second half. He had an outstanding September, put himself in a great spot that for him, spring training was a formality. He was on the team. And I had him penciled in 3 or 4, in this rotation, maybe Bailey as the 5, to be honest with you, based on how 2025 went for Ober. But outside of a good start or two to begin the year, it wasn't there. And if you look at it, velocity was down, swing and miss gone, splitter by many measures was the worst pitch in the game. And if you go to Baseball Savant and you can break down run value, like it's an out-based stat, like how effective is this pitch in generating outs? And you can isolate players, you can isolate pitches, and if you group them all together, nearly at the time of when he got DFA'd, his splitter was valued as the worst pitch in the game. And that was his key pitch last year. And to say that, well, okay, maybe he'll look differently in the bullpen, give me some evidence that was going to happen. Now, it was a short look. Fine, 2 outings out of the pen. But even those outings, his fastball velocity didn't go up. His breaking balls weren't very good at generating any semblance of a swing and miss. So if his splitter wasn't effective, which it wasn't this year, velocity is down with his fastball. His breaking balls aren't effective. What do you need to go with to say, okay, they made a wrong call? To me, I thought it was the right call. And I'm thinking they were maybe going to try and luck out at that because he was never outrighted before. And if he clears waivers, they don't trade him, the Twins keep him. And they can outright him, and he can't say no. He can't elect free agency because this would be his first outright. So he would then stay in the organization. Okay. But maybe there were going to be teams that claimed him, and in this case, the Twins, the best offer they had was with Toronto, and they got some cash back for him. I don't know how much. Not my job to know. But to me, I'm some more surprised with the outrage over it than the actual transaction itself.
So now the question is, obviously, Bailey Ober's hurt. Taj Bradley's a little dinged up. Like, who's starting for this? I don't know if you have the answer either, but who's going to be starting for this team going forward?
No, I think, is the timing of it. If Bailey's on the IL the day before, they keep Sim. You know, and the timing just didn't work out. When the Twins needed pitching, they just needed a fresh arm. And it was just, Sim was kind of, in that spot to be, let go. It's a great question, but 3/5 of their starting rotation right now is on the IL. And yeah, it's not great. I mean, Andrew Morris, Shelty was asked about this yesterday, a starter in the minor leagues, and he opened the game yesterday. But if he's going to stretch back out, he's not going to do it here. He's going to get optioned down and doing back in St. Paul, because you don't have the luxury of just that roster spot. You have to, I think before the game tonight, a roster move or two has to be coming here. You just need some fresh arms in the pen. Yeah. And with the arms they used yesterday, they used everybody but two guys, Adams and Lorison. And Adams was up twice throwing in the bullpen. I'm sure Lorison was just a complete shutdown last night, maybe emergency only, because he's not far removed from the IL himself. So yeah, they need pitching right now, and they're pretty thin at this point.
Cory, my timeline has been filled the last week plus with Royce Lewis just hitting bomb after bomb in St. Paul. I know you told us when it happened this was not a short-term deal. Like, he wasn't just going to go down for a week or two. But now with the injuries and the way he's hitting, is that going to force the Twins' hands to maybe bring him up? I know he played second base earlier in the week. He played first base last night. Does that make this move happen sooner than later?
It might, but I think the back point there, the back part of your question there, I think is more important than how the offense is looking right now. I think that the idea that Royce is now playing on the right side is new. Yeah. And it's fascinating that, because this came up 2 years ago, remember? And this was a whole to-do when the Twins were playing the Rays and Royce and Rocco had this, it became public that neither side was, especially Royce, was not happy about it. And I remember talking to Kyle Farmer at the time, and he was like, relax, you're not moving back to the outfield. And I get why Royce had his reservations, because the last time he did this, he moved positions, he popped his knee for a second time. But this isn't the outfield. Farmer's point was you can go to second base and you'll be fine. But seeing now second base also become first base is fascinating. And they're really trying to preach versatility with him. I think we're seeing some of that too with Luke Keyshaw. He's also been getting some reps pregame at first base. There's been a revolving door at first base. Now, why Trevor Larnach or Matt Wallner never went to Camp Morneau years ago, even Max Kepler to Camp Morneau, is beyond me. That, to me, seemed like a massive miss years ago. Now, if you're going to argue that and say we had plans and visions of Alex Kirilloff being our first baseman for the next 10 years, I get it. But he could never stay healthy, and then sadly was forced to retire, medically with back and other issues. So there's been too much of a revolving door at first base. Let's find some stability there, because free agency, we've gone that route with Carlos Santana and Ty France and now Josh Bell. Let's try and see if we have an internal option here that's already in our payroll. And so I think it's smart. I think it's a great idea. Now, asking me more than Molitor and Morneau and Trevor Plouffe and other guys to do this in season, I think it's a great idea to do it in the minor leagues. Much tougher to do if you're asking to do it at the big league level. That's why it's great that Royce is raking. Matt Wallner, 3 home runs last night. But I think they want him to play another week, 10 days, 2 weeks more on the right side before they make that move.
Because Brooks Lee's going to play third base. He looks more confident there than he has since he's come into the major leagues.
I'm loving what I'm seeing from Brooks Lee at third base. Yeah. I think he comes in on a ball really well. I think that bunt, that swinging bunt, he has to barehand it. He makes that play. And I think what Trevor Plouffe was talking about on the last road trip, former third baseman himself, is the part that Lee has to work on is his throwing, and that you can, like Correa was the master of this. That bounce pass he had, it was a thing of beauty to watch, but that took years to perfect and master. And I think Lee, that's something that the intent that you want to skip that throw on the grass, not on the dirt, on the grass. And that, I think, is the part of his game that still needs some fine-tuning, because I love the way he moves in. I think he's got the arm strength to make that play from foul territory. But, yeah, I would let Brooks Lee, leave him alone. Yeah. He's your third baseman right now. Kalen Culpepper is killing it at AAA. maybe we see that move at some point here to take over at short. In the meantime, it's been that trio of Kreidler, Gray, and Arcia kind of holding things down at short.
That was my next point before we go to break, that it's got to be eventually that Kalen Culpepper is your shortstop sometime in 2026, correct?
Travis Adams, I was talking with him in the clubhouse, even Cole Sands too, because Sands threw a rehab game 2 days ago in St. Paul, and Sands is going to go again tonight for the Saints to test out that injury. They rave about Culpepper at short, especially Adams. They said he's got a cannon, obviously big bat speed, but they love his arm. His range, I don't really know much about it in that regard, but they think he's got plenty of arm to play shortstop at the big league level.
All right, let's break. When we come back, much more on the Twins' pitching woes and look ahead to the next 3 games of the Royals and an interesting home schedule for the Twins, including the Cardinals and the Dodgers eventually come up here in June. More with Cory Provus. We come back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour, much more here with Cory Provus. Twins and Royals coming up tonight. Just a heads up, by the way, the game is on Apple TV tonight. So that means you got the night off then, man. What do you got going?
My son's got a game. My now 13-year-old boy.
Nice.
He still gets to play 12 travel though. He's got a game in Edina. So the Royals are going to take down those cake eaters. Hopefully tonight.
Oh, that's good stuff. So yeah, again, Twins and Royals on Apple TV tonight. I want to get back into the pitching part of this because obviously Mick Abel's out right now. Ober's out. I want to talk about the Bailey Ober deal here in a second. We know Pablo's done. What other options we don't know about that it's in St. Paul right now that can come up, or is what they have what they have?
I mean, C.J. Culpepper's probably going to be in play here at some point. One would think he's been throwing well. I mean, Charlie Soto is just.
Oh, I think we lost Cory here. Yeah, I think we had something up with his computer on his end, it looks like. So hopefully we can get him back. Because I want to talk about the story that came out yesterday during the rain delay on Bailey Ober here. That might be our computer might have froze up, Eric. That might be on our end over here. Yeah, I don't know if somebody can come in and maybe restart our computer in here because the whole thing is frozen. Anyway, Ober was put on the injured list Sunday, one day after a 4 2/3 innings start in Pittsburgh, but he believes his arm injury, this is from the Star Tribune, stems from the baseballs he used during a May 24th outing at Fenway Park. The Twins' right-hander was diagnosed with a mild right flexor strain, described the quality of baseballs used during his start in Boston as the worst in his 6-year career. The problem, he said, was the slickness of the baseballs, like they were new out of their packaging. Which was a Twins win, was played in rainy and cold conditions. Afterwards, Ober immediately lodged a complaint with the Major League Baseball Players Association, and manager Derek Shelton filed a complaint on Ober's behalf with Major League Baseball. The article continues that MLB investigated the baseballs used in the May 24th game and found they were consistent with the league standards. A person familiar with the situation told the Minnesota Star Tribune. If we want to kill that audio, guys, because it's humming in my ears here. Thank you. He said, I haven't dealt with poorly rubbed up baseballs to that extent ever, Ober said. The only way to be able to throw slick baseballs is to grip them harder so you can execute your pitches. If not, you're not going to know where the ball is going, especially with breaking pitches. Let me see if I can restart this here. Yeah, that is full-on frozen. So looks like we'll probably not be able to get Cory back here. Major League Baseball requires all new baseballs to be rubbed with Lena Blackburn baseball rubbing mud before games, a task typically completed by a member of the home clubhouse staff. Sonny Gray, who gave up 6 hits and 2 walks across 4 innings in that same game, blasted the conditions when he spoke to reporters after the game. Said, brutal, absolutely brutal. Sonny Gray said, according to the Boston Globe, it is what it is. It was brutal for everybody. Ober added, everyone that came in after me, the relievers, they all said the same thing. When I was in the clubhouse, they all came in and said, man, those balls sucked. I talked to Sonny and Danny Kalum right after the game, who both pitched for the Red Sox, and they both said the same thing. So that might be the first time I've ever heard that. But again, Ober claims that was the reason why he had the injury that he sustained there. So we'll see. But again, Twins are down. if you count Seaman with Richardson as well being out, that's now 3/5 of your starting rotation that you were set to have. Email came in earlier. This is a complete Twins failure. This is on SWR. Simeon had 4 years left of team control. He was successful for multiple seasons as a starter, and after 47 terrible innings, the team panicked and let him go. They failed on correcting whatever was wrong. They failed in having such a poor and used-up bullpen. They had no choice but to DFA him to make room. They failed in coddling Simeon for 2 years as a starter, pulling him before 3 times through the lineup. Such a failure, even if Simeon is done being a successful Major League Baseball player. Don't know. Could be some other stuff there, too, behind the scenes on that as well that we're not aware of. But obviously, this was not good. I'll echo what Cory said, too, that he didn't really understand the vitriol or the outcry on letting a guy who had been awful so far this season get let go. Typically, that's, typically the reaction is, what took you so long, right? That wasn't the reaction, which was kind of odd out of the Twins fan base frankly, I said it on the air whatever day it happened, Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday when it went down, that, well, how bad do you have to be let go by the Twins? And the answer is apparently that bad to lose a job. So I could see both sides of that was end up being the case, that they decided to move on. So apologies there, folks, on our technical issues there. We had our computer looks like it died on us, but hopefully we'll have a chance to visit back with Cory next week. Is the update on the Twins schedule. Then we got 2 more games with Kansas City after tonight. And because I was asking him about this, it's an off day on Monday at the Tigers for 3. Just a quick 3-gamer with Detroit. Then it's back home next week with the Cardinals. Then a week-long roadie with 3 with the Rangers, including a midweek day off, which we'll get to on that because I believe that's because of the World Cup. And then 3 with the Diamondbacks on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then the Dodgers come to town coming up at the end of June. So that's the up-to-date schedule there for the Twins. All right, we'll break. We'll get reset up for our second hour. Cami Nauholz will join us from Lawrence, Kansas on her commitment to North Dakota State women's basketball. We'll do that when Hour 2 of Hot Mic begins after this.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Nothing like live television. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here. Final hour of the week. Getting ready for a fun weekend. I'm just going to tell you right now, I've avoided saying it. Ribfest has already started, and I will be conquering that later tonight. And I don't care if you see me up there and I have barbecue all over my face. I'm ready to roll. Just say that. I've put it off for a couple days. We're going tonight. We'll chat about that later. Let's not keep our next guest waiting as we start our second hour. It's been a busy week for Bison women's basketball. Jory Collins added 1 player for the upcoming year from Slovenia, not necessarily right next door to Fargo. We'll talk about that later in the show. But he was not done adding players for the class of 2027. A couple weeks ago, we had Jordan Christofferson on the show out of West Fargo Horace, which is in our backyard. Then he went to his own backyard to get another player for the class of 2027 out of Lawrence, Kansas, where he was working before he came to Fargo. Cami Nauholz is a 6'2" forward out of Lawrence who announced earlier this week that she will be part of the 2027 Bison women's basketball recruiting class, and she joins us this morning to chat about it. First, congratulations. Second, thanks for doing this. Tell us on committing to NDSU. What was it about the Bison that made it say this was the place you wanted to go?
I feel like the main thing for me was just the people there. I just feel like everyone was so great when I got to meet the players and the coaches and everything. And I just really like the style they play too. And so I feel like I just fit right in, and I could tell right away that it was going to be the place for me.
Now, I joke with Jory all the time. Is he a big deal in Kansas? Did you know about his history in your hometown?
Not a ton until I started to get to know him more. And then I kind of looked it up, and then I saw more about it, but kind of, yeah. All
right, so for people up here, we assume Lawrence, Kansas, obviously Kansas is there, that it's the biggest thing ever. How big is basketball in your hometown?
It's very big. whenever we have like game days here, like the town is just packed and everyone goes crazy, but it's a very good environment. It's fun.
So has this been the sport for you since you were like 3 or 4 years old? Has basketball always been number one?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've always loved it.
So tell me about getting to Division I level. Like when we were chatting earlier this week about starting to get offers. When did it click for you that, okay, there's a chance I could play Division I basketball?
I think once I just started talking to D1 coaches, like I think that's kind of just when it clicked for me, and I was very excited about that because I've always wanted to just be able to play at the highest level that I can. So I really started to get excited about it, and then I started talking to NDSU, and I was like, wow, like this is all becoming so real. Like I can actually play at this level and stuff.
What did you know about Fargo or North Dakota, if anything?
Not a lot, but after we had a few conversations, I started following their season and stuff, and I was like, wow, they're having a really good season. And I actually got to watch them play in Kansas City mid-season, so that was really good. And I got to see like how Coach Collins coaches and how the team was playing, so that was good. That helped me a lot.
Well,
too.
you got to see a win. It doesn't hurt either. What was it about it watching them play to say? Did you envision yourself saying, I could do this?
Yeah, definitely. Just watching how they play, I was like, this is pretty much the exact same style that I play with my teams, and I was like, wow, like this could be the perfect fit for me.
We're going to watch a little bit of our highlights here, Cami. Give us a description of your game and how you see yourself on the floor.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a very strong inside post player, but I've also been working on my ability to run the floor and stretch out and shoot the three and be able to drive the ball as well.
What is it about it? Obviously, your height, you have an advantage there, but what about that just it's just easy to say, well, just give her the ball down low, she's going to score. It's not as simple as that. Tell me about developing a low post game.
Yeah, it's actually more difficult than that, but we're just working on, I feel like footwork is the biggest thing for me. Like if you have your footwork down and have just a few simple basic moves, it helps a lot.
The ability to stretch out, tell me about, I think I saw a couple of highlights as well with you being able to shoot the ball. Is how much have you been working on that and how natural is that for you?
Yeah, I've been working on that a lot, and I feel like it comes a little more natural to me because I wasn't always this tall. Like in my younger ages, I did play point guard and stuff, so I feel like that's how it kind of comes natural, but it's definitely been my main focus because that helped my recruitment a lot when coaches saw that I was able to stretch the floor and not just be able to play in the paint, be able to pop other things.
All right, that's a perfect segue here because I was going to ask, when did the growth spurt happen?
Yeah, I think it was like between 7th and 8th grade that it happened. So yeah.
How many inches did you sprout up?
I'd say like 2 or 3 probably.
No kidding. Okay. So you were a ball handler primarily before you grew to 6'2"?
Yep.
Holy cow. What was that like, just playing, and then I'm getting taller here? How much did that change as you're out on the floor?
Yeah, it was crazy because I pretty much went from like a 1 to a 5 position. So, because after that, it's just like all the coaches are just like, go play in the paint. Like you have such a big height advantage. So it was kind of an adjustment, but I liked it. So it was nice.
So take me back to, we were texting about this earlier in the week when NDSU got involved. What do you remember about that and how the relationship started?
Yeah, well, I remember my high school coach knew Coach Collins, obviously, because he coached at KU and everything. So I think it was like mid-high school season that he sent Coach Collins some of my film, and then we set up a phone call, and I started talking to all the coaches, and then Coach Michaela came to watch one of my high school games, and then Coach Jamie came to one of my AAU tournaments, and then we were just having great conversations, and then I set up my visit, and after that, it was just, I knew it was the place.
So let me go back. When you knew that there were people watching, coaches in the stands, either if it's high school or AAU, is it nerve-wracking? Is it exciting? Is it both?
It's kind of both,
Yeah.
but I feel like I was very interested, so it was a little nerve-wracking because I was like, this is a place that I could really see myself at, so obviously I want to do really well, you know?
So how did you play?
I actually played well. I played really well, so I think that helped me, but yeah.
I'm sure it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
What were your impressions when you came up for your visit?
Honestly, everything was just great. I loved the facilities. I loved watching the team practice and just their dynamic and their energy. And then obviously just meeting with all the coaches, like they're just fantastic people, and just talking about how I could fit in and what my role is going to be was just really good to hear.
I know once the Bison offer, you had a few others. Oral Roberts got in. I know a handful of D2s. Washburn, I know not too far from where you live, got involved, which was really, really good Division II basketball teams there.
Yeah.
How did you handle that once you got one? There was like 5 or 6 more that came in.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting, and they were all really good opportunities, but I think it was just the level I wanted to play at was a little bit higher, just the highest level I could play at, and then just the people at NDSU kind of helped me make my decision.
So give us then the phone call. You called Jory, I'm assuming, to tell him you were going to commit?
No, I was actually in Fargo.
No kidding.
So
okay, you did it in person. Okay.
It was during my visit, and we were at dinner with 3 of the coaches. Coach Mick was out of town, and then 3 of the players were with us as well. So I kind of just told them at dinner, and that was really fun.
What was that reaction like?
They were very, very excited. The players said they'd never got to experience like a commitment before, so that was pretty cool.
That's
for them.
neat. Oh, that's fantastic. What was the drive home like? You must have been on cloud 9.
It was great. Yeah. I mean, it was still long, but we had a good time.
What is the drive? What is how long is that?
8.5, 9 hours.
That's plenty long enough, no doubt. So now it's over and done with. What's the last few days been like?
It's been very, very exciting. Just getting to tell all my family and all my friends and everything has been fun, and just it's been exciting. Still feel like I'm on cloud 9. So
I was gonna say, is it a weight off the shoulders as well, or is that it hadn't really got to that point where it was overwhelming?
I feel like a little bit, but also still just very exciting.
So now it's AAU this summer. Tell us about what the next few months are like for you. What's the schedule look like?
Yeah, the rest of June, we do stuff with our high school teams. So we have a few tournaments and like camps that we do. So that'll be good because we have some younger players, so we can help get them into the program and stuff and get adjusted. And then July, we finish with all of our like big club tournaments. So I'm very excited for that as well.
To have this over and done with, was this even ahead of your own timetable, or was this, hey, whenever it felt right, that's when I was going to make my decision?
I think it was kind of whenever, but like earlier in the process, I was kind of thinking at the end of summer, like after club season, but it just felt so right. I was like, there's no need to wait any longer.
All right, so we were watching a few of your highlights here. Give us the inside of high school basketball around your area. How good is it? How many college players are you routinely playing against? Give us the inside of what a Friday night in Lawrence is like.
Yeah, it's really good. We're playing the league called the Sunflower League, and I'd say it's the best league in Kansas, or one of the best. And yeah, we play a lot of college players, and there's a lot of good teams in the league, so it's very competitive, but we hold our own, and it's really fun to play in Lawrence. We have a really good band, and like an old school gym, so it's a very fun experience.
I saw the gym. Yeah, give us the lowdown on that. We were showed a little video of it. What is that like to play in a place like that?
It's so fun. Yeah. Like our whole school changed and remodeled, but they kept the gym the same always, so that's nice. And it's so loud with the band in there, so it's a very fun experience. I really like it.
Is it packed almost every night? Like what is a home game experience like for you guys?
Yeah, it normally gets pretty crowded and it gets loud, so that's fun.
And I was watching you guys won a buzzer beater this past year in your playoff run?
Yeah, it was our first sub-state game, and our freshman actually hit a buzzer beater, so that was pretty crazy. Definitely a moment I'll never forget.
That's fantastic. I want to ask now, going forward for this coming year, not that you snuck up on anybody last year, but now certainly people are going to know you now that, hey, she's a Division I player, that double teams, triple teams may be coming. How do you think you're going to handle that knowing this upcoming year?
Yeah, I think just try not to focus on it too much, and obviously if there's more than one people on me, then someone's going to be open. So looking for that open player and really trusting my teammates as well.
Would you say, how would you, I guess, for what the Bison staff told you, what they want you to work on over this year to get you ready for what college basketball is going to be in a couple of years' time?
Yeah, they were saying the biggest thing that would help is just strength, like just coming in as strong as you possibly can, because then it's not as big of an adjustment, because obviously the girls that you play in college are going to be very strong and experienced. So.
Well, that's a perfect segue because I saw you tweet out yesterday. You were right back in the gym. Is that exactly what you were taking to heart, what they told you?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you enjoy that part, or is that the necessary evil of getting ready for basketball?
Oh, I like it a lot. Yeah. It pushes me, I feel like, so it's very good for me.
Was there other sports you played, or is it just basketball?
Yeah, I play golf in the fall as well.
No kidding. All right. What's your handicap? What are we shooting here?
I don't know. My lowest is like a 100, but I started in the 140s.
That's really good. And I think everybody would love to cut 40 shots off playing golf. That's fantastic. What's golf like in Kansas? Is it like North Dakota and windy all the time?
Yeah, it gets a little windy and it's kind of cold sometimes, but for the most part, it's nice. I like it.
Now, I caution you on cold. Have they told you what cold is like in North Dakota? Because it's different than Kansas.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty cold.
Just a big jacket. You're going to be all set for that. Last thing, and I really appreciate you doing this, the fact that Kansas City is in NDSU's league. How big a deal is that for your fam that – Tulsa's not that far away. There are some trips, obviously, coming up here is a little bit of a jaunt. Omaha's in the league. How big a deal is that for your family to have a chance to go to some of the road games as well?
I think that's a very big deal for me. And in the beginning, I didn't really want to go too far from home, but this opportunity was just the best one for me. And so having those road games closer will be very nice as well for all my family to be able to come watch because they're very supportive and they love to come to my games. So, yeah.
So now what? Did you celebrate yet, or is that still to come?
Yeah, we celebrated a little bit, but probably some more still to come as well.
Are you guys done with school or not yet?
Yeah, we've been done for weeks, so yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. Well, I appreciate you making time for us this morning. Congratulations on committing. Have a great summer. Hopefully we'll catch up during basketball, okay?
Yep, thank you so much.
Yeah, Cami Nauholz joining us from Lawrence, Kansas, is the 5th member of the Bison class of 2027, joining us this morning after she announced her commitment earlier this week. So that's a large haul. We talked on yesterday with Andy Stefanowicz, the Bison men are bringing in 5, which is unheard of in the men's game. It's almost nearly unheard of in the women's game. So if you're scoring at home, which I know you are, the Bison are bringing in 2 out of North Dakota. That's Jordan Christopherson out of West Fargo Horace, Riley Rutledge out of South Prairie, which is south of Minot. 2 from Minnesota. You've got Morgan Mathowitz, who just won a state championship for Sleepy Eye in Minnesota, and Maya Killian out of New Prague, which we told our guy Getzinger to get the lowdown on her. I can see a segment there, just 2 New Prague Giants, right? We can make that happen. That's 4, and now Cami is number 5. That's a large class, and from what I was told, they may not be done. They could maybe add another, which is interesting considering we are awaiting the ruling in a couple weeks' time on the eligibility part of this, where you could get, and let's just use Avery for an example. Avery Coonan could come back for a 5th year. She could play it elsewhere as well, but she would have an opportunity, since she played as a true freshman, to play a 5th year, whether it be here or somewhere else. Now, that creates a log jam because you can only have so many people, obviously, on the roster, but that is certainly out there for Bison women's basketball. I will just say this. You watched a little bit of her highlights there. At 6'2", that's a chance you take. You just say, you know what, we'll see what happens and kind of roll the dice with that. So appreciate her time for coming on, and we'll see. The level of player after a season that North Dakota State had, winning the Summit League Championship, putting 3 years in a row that Jory Collins has put together, and this one, obviously, from his background of being a coach in Lawrence. He's a hero in Kansas. Don't let him tell you otherwise. Everybody knows who he is from his days either at KU or at Emporia State before that. He knows the level of talent down there, and this apparently seems like a player that can come in and maybe help them right away. So appreciate Cami giving us a few minutes there. All right, let's break. We'll get reset up. Seems like all technology is back working normal here. Got a few emails to get to. Hot Mic rolls on our final show of the week. We're back right after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Cami Nauholz for joining us. We had a quick producing scheduling update. I was texting with Riley Sunram during the show. They were apparently doing a workout here that's going to run later, and he will not make it back for our hit today. But he said Monday 10:30, so we're going to have to move Sunram to Monday at 10:30. But that only means we get some more fun time here to wrap up the final 35 minutes. No big deal. We'll get him, and I appreciate him getting a hold of us so we weren't left in the lurch there for our final segment of the week. Let's chat here on what went down. Vikings are in the midst of the OTAs. They got their mini camp next week. KOC spoke yesterday, and, every little nugget is dissected from the media. But this one doesn't necessarily need to be dissected all that much, because perhaps a slip of the tongue may have told us everything we need to know about maybe what's going on with the quarterback situation. And he was asked yesterday how J.J. McCarthy has handled the addition of a veteran quarterback, obviously with the signing of Kyler Murray. This is what KOC said. I think he's handled it really well. He's been great in the meeting rooms, spending a little bit more time with those guys. And just the dialogue between the group, obviously the great questions you get from those guys as we're going through the installation process. He's been great in the meeting rooms. He's been great on the grass. And as always, he's as a captain and a guy that helps leads our team, he's been phenomenal there as well. He hesitated there on the part of former captain. O'Connell quickly caught himself. This is from Sports Illustrated, after saying the word former, but with press conferences being streamed live, it got out there, and fans took notice. This video on X of the entire answer has nearly 2 million views, with many quote tweets and replies noting the use of the word former at around the 52-second mark. So obviously everyone's going to run with that now O'Connell is calling McCarthy a former captain. And the next leap from there is to infer the quarterback competition between McCarthy and Kyler Murray isn't much of a true competition in O'Connell's mind, with McCarthy likely to be the backup or no longer serve as a team captain. That's what people seem to be going with. I'll take it a step further. I don't even know if McCarthy's going to be on the roster. I don't think you sign Carson Wentz because you know what Carson can do. I mean, Carson came in, and I'd say he was the one quarterback who actually ran the Viking offense the most adequately in 2025. Go back and watch the Bengals game, right? Before Carson got hurt, that was the most dominant performance the Vikes had all season. They won whatever it was, 31-rip. And Wentz was good in that game. He was. Then they went overseas. The Steelers game, not so great. Carson took a couple shots in that game. And then the Browns game the week after is when he got seriously hurt, when he went running and took a shot up high, and then basically he was a broken man to play how many more games he did after that when McCarthy was out with the ankle injury. And I think we talked about it the day after when he pulled himself out of the – what game was it? Was it the Giants game he pulled himself out, or was it the game after against Detroit? One of those two, because he didn't play the Christmas Day game. It was the last game of the year. He pulled himself out, McCarthy did. I'm sure that didn't go over well. There's a maturity part of this that I think there's the elder generation that has a hard time handling that, and I'm sure that did not go over well. That's why I'm of the inclination they didn't sign Carson Wentz to be the third-string guy. They signed Kyler Murray to be the guy, right, that he's going to start, and I think everyone is in that mindset now. It may not have been the case in whenever Murray signed in March, but now here we are in June. I think the freight train towards training camp is rolling that Kyler Murray is going to be the starter, and I think Carson Wentz is going to be the number 2. I do. I think J.J. McCarthy is either the number 3 quarterback or new GM Nolan Teasley finds a way to move on. It might sound preposterous, but they may have already decided, and O'Connell's comments, even the slip of the tongue there, is going to have this freight train go. NFL Network said, it's a slip, but is it? Words matter. To put former in front of captain, and of course you have to vote every year. It's a process to it. But that starting quarterback spot in the captain position, he's most likely included with those 5 or 6 guys. So to have that uncertainty, to have that word slip, it's not for nothing. I don't know this. Eric, you may. How many of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, are they all captains? Is that a thing? I don't even know. It probably goes without saying that most of them are, but I mean, if you're a starting quarterback and not a captain in the NFL, what does that say? That's probably doesn't reflect well on either what your leadership abilities or what the team thinks of your leadership abilities. Because, I mean, even probably the worst quote-unquote leaders are still voted almost everyone, because the NFL copied the NHL on that, has the C on their jersey. I mean, I'm trying to think of one starting quarterback, maybe the Jets, because they are horrible and can't get out of their own way. But even Aaron Rodgers, I think, was a captain with the Jets when he was there, and he barely played. So if that is the case, and the Vikings are stripping the C away from JJ, that's another sign that maybe this relationship is not for the long haul. Be awfully interesting to dissect this. I'm telling you, we got mini camp next week, and then the break for about a month and a half, and then when they get back in Eagan, man, just buckle up, folks. If you thought the talk is overbearing now, it's going to be on overdrive when the Vikings resume in late July when they start training camp, because that's going to be a nonstop talker there. We'll see. All right, let's break. Final half hour. We're free. We can do pretty much whatever we want, which is always fun. So we'll figure that out. We'll take a break. We come back. Final half hour of this week on Hot Mic. That comes up when we return on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here. Again, if you were planning on catching Riley Sunram here, Riley said their workout ran long, so he can't join us today, but he will Monday. So that'll be a heck of a way to start a new week on Monday. Looking forward to our conversation with the Minnesota Golden Gopher defensive lineman, and we'll catch up then. I was hoping also today we were going to be celebrating a Moorhead Spuds second consecutive baseball trip to the state tournament. As it was, it ended up being a gut-wrenching, gut-punching kind of day for the Moorhead baseball team yesterday, because they had a difficult loss. Let me set it up before we show you what happened. So Moorhead had won its first couple games of the section tournament, 8-4A, trying to go back to state like they did last year, which they ended like a 20-year drought, I think, a year ago of going to state. They were in the best position possible. They advanced to the section championship game without a loss. So all they needed to do was win one time, and they would go to state. They were facing Monticello yesterday, the Magic. Monticello won the first game against the Spuds, so faced a winner-take-all. So Moorhead is in the same exact spot than they were last year against St. Michael Albertville. You remember they got pushed to the brink by the Knights, but they won the winner-take-all game and got a trip to the state tournament. So that was the scenario yesterday they were facing against Monticello. This is what happened in the game against the Magic, which they got off to a great start. The game was tied at 1. Sam Craig delivers with a 2-run double, and that puts Moorhead up 3-1. Monticello, though, would answer back. They would score 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning and tie the game at 3. It would stay tied. This is the bottom of the 7th. Monticello has the bases loaded, and that hit by pitch would drive in the winning run on a hit batsman and give Monticello maybe the most anticlimactic walk-off section championship win you can have. A 4-3 final, and they sweep the Spuds and are going to the state tournament. That is a gut punch. Now, I'll give this to Greg Salvold, because prior to this, Moorhead actually induced a double play with the bases loaded on a ground ball back to the pitcher that they got the out at home and then got the out at first. So it was second and third with 2 outs. They intentionally walk the next batter, so the bases are loaded, right? Any hit anywhere, step on a bag, force out, we're back in the dugout, we're hitting in the top of the 8th. The one thing you couldn't do was what happened, and that's a difficult pill to swallow. Made even more difficult, Tay Rich in the top of the 7th. He's still playing baseball, folks. A great baseball player. We know he's going to play football at the U. In the top half of the inning, laced a double and got stranded at third in the top of the 7th. So the Spuds had the potential go-ahead run at third base and couldn't get it home, and that ends up being how it ends. So that's a difficult ending for the Spud season yesterday. As it is, it looks like we have just, I believe, Perham locally that's going to be playing, and Perham's always there. Coach Mulcahy does such a great job. They always make it to state in baseball. That tradition goes back a long way. It's an old friend, Hans Hansen, was the head coach there at Perham, that they always made state. They're going back as well. They won 8 AA. So difficult end for Moorhead. Email comes in. Dom, you should interview the star from North Star in Candu about his state record 12 under par championship. I heard about this. You know, we had Colby Kerner on yesterday, who won the Class A championship. The Class B title was won, Miles Jordy is the young man's name, from North Star High School. And I'm going to make sure I get this right, because I thought I saw this on the news, and yeah, this is crazy. He shot back-to-back rounds of 66 at Crossroads up in Carrington. Minus 12. What? There are professionals that can't do that. That is phenomenal playing. Yeah, North Star took second on a combined score of 577. Oak Grove won it at 571. That is unbelievable. Shot a 132, 6 strokes better than second place Carter Paulus. 66 on both days. Yeah, we'll have to see if we can get Miles on maybe next week, because that is some phenomenal playing. I haven't been up to Carrington and Crossroads in a while, but I know that it's not that easy like he made it look over the last 2 days. Congratulations to him on a couple of great rounds of golf. That's really fun to watch. When you got it humming like that, and it doesn't matter what level, if it's high school, if it's college, if it's amateur, professional golf, when you see someone that's going out and playing like that, that is awfully fun to watch. Got this sent in. ESPN has its ranking of worst to first, ranking the NFL's most likely turnarounds in 2026. They have the Lions at number 1, Saints at 2. What did the Saints do besides our guy Bryce Lance going there? Did they make some other? They were 6-11 last year. That they think they can turn it around. Granted, they play in a division that's not very good. Because Eric, didn't the Panthers win that division under 500 last year? Right? Weren't they 8-9? I thought so. In the NFC South a year ago, they have the Giants at 3, Titans at 4, then the Raiders, the Jets at 6. The Jets aren't the worst team in their division according to the FPI. That's the Football Power Index. That would be the Dolphins. Yeah. So while we have the Jets' odds of winning an AFC East title very low, they aren't the lowest. That's like the old Dumb and Dumber line.
Hang the banner.
So you're saying there's a chance. The Jets are counting on a rebound from quarterback Geno Smith, who turns 36 in October. Why can't the Jets get quarterbacks like Geno Smith? They're also depending on a lot of highly drafted rookies to be useful players in the depth chart right away. The Jets had 3 first-round draft picks, and they'll all play important roles. Edge rusher David Bailey, receiver Omar Cooper Jr., and tight end Kenyon Sadiq. Second-round pick D'Angelo Pons will also be a starter as well at the nickelback position. Most likely, those rookies will represent a range of performances from excellent to disappointing. Well, they're the Jets. But the Jets need all 4 of them to be excellent right away if they're going to make a run at their division foes, the Bills and Patriots. Now that's preposterous. We're not thinking of that. The Jets did one thing well last season. That was special teams play. New York had one of the top 10 special teams units measured by DVOA. I don't even know what that is, going back to 1977. The problem there is that special teams are much less consistent than offense or defense. Even if the Jets have a good special teams unit again, it's very unlikely it'll be as good as last season. Odds of winning the division are 1.2%. So you're saying there's a chance. Where do they have the Vikings on here or not? Let's see, NFC North. They have the Lions going from last. So there you go. I see what it is. It's ranking the last place teams in their turnaround. So they have the Lions as the team that has the best chance to turn around. What did the Saints do? I'm trying to think what New Orleans did. They drafted Jordan Tyson in the first round. They drafted Bryce Lance in the fourth round. Tyler Shuck is back for his second season at quarterback. Everyone's on the Giants. Everyone's on the Giants because they hired John Harbaugh. I mean, Malik Neighbors' career might be over, right? Isn't that rumor out there that his knee injury is as serious as that he may not play again? They have to hope that Scadaboo is back and is healthy next season. Jackson Dart has to stop being a human bowling ball out there because that scene last year when Brian Daboll, was the former Giant coach, was running into the medical tent. That was not good. Not a good look for anybody. Not a good look for Daboll. Not a good look for the Giants. Certainly not a good look for the NFL. That how bad it got for New York last year. They didn't want to play Russell Wilson that badly that they wanted to get Jackson Dart, who's getting checked for a concussion, to get back out. Speaking of one Russell Wilson, CBS announced yesterday that he and Kyle Long are now on the NFL Today. So I don't really watch much of the pregame shows at all anymore. I used to, but I haven't watched CBS in a while. So that's James Brown, Nate Burleson. I'm assuming Bill Cowher is still on it. Then Kyle Long and Russell Wilson will be part of that next season. Kyle Long's pretty good. I'd like to hear what he has to say. I don't know if Russell will say anything interesting now that he's gone over to the TV side. Let's do two more emails here before we take our final break. Dom, you have an update on Tom Hoagie today. Yes, the Memorial is going on. This is probably Hoagie's last tournament for a little bit. Likely will not play next week in Canada. He did not qualify for the U.S. Open. First time in a little bit that he's not going to play the U.S. Open at all. He had a tough day yesterday. Shot 75. And this is a limited field event, the Memorial. He's already done. He shot 72 today, even par. So he's tied for 62nd. Look like he's not going to make the cut. Right now, the projected cut line is +3 at the Memorial, which is a great event. That's Jack Nicklaus's golf tournament. Right now, Ryan Gerard is the leader at 8 under, a 3-shot lead over Wyndham Clark, who won the Open a couple years ago, J.J. Spawn, who won the U.S. Open last year, and Tommy Fleetwood, who seems to be everyone's pick every year to win a major championship. That is a tease ahead for what to watch, by the way. Memorial is always one of my favorite golf tournaments to watch. Always delayed by rain. It seems like that happens nearly routine. Let's do one more before we break and wrap things up. Dom, I just want to say a big thank you to you and your entire crew from WDAY who provided coverage for the State Class B baseball tournament last weekend in Jamestown. We had so many family members and friends who were unable to attend, yet were tuned into the Park River games each day thanks to you guys. Small-town boys on the big stage. It's a big deal for communities like Park River and the surrounding area that make up our high school spring season. That was made extra special with the coverage you all provided. I know my son will never forget the experience. Keep up the great work. Appreciate that. That's a nice email to end the week. It was, speaking of, we had a long weekend out there. We had a couple of rain delays, but honestly, it was a blast to do it again, and just fun to call a championship. As I was mentioned, I think earlier this week or late last week, I don't get a chance to do championship games much anymore. Those now doing the buys and stuff, those get taken away by the bigger networks. So the chance to call tournament was a lot of fun, and we had a blast out there and dealt with every everything that Mother Nature could throw at us last week, whether it was crazy heat, to some wild wind, to rain. We got a little bit of everything, but it was fun to be out there. Appreciate that, those sentiments sent in here to wrap up the week. That's a nice email to wrap things up. And with that, we'll take our final break. We'll do that. We come back. We'll wrap things up for the week, get you ready for a dynamite sports weekend. We got Game 2 of the finals tonight. We'll get you ready for that when Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com right after this. All right, wrapping things up here. Busy week. Had some great guests. If you missed any of them, you can go back and podcast them this weekend. If you're driving to the lake somewhere, if you're heading to the golf course, some really fun conversations we had. Luke Starcevic on his commitment to Clemson out of Kindred. Obviously, Beth Maher's conversation, which I know had plenty of people chatting from when she was here on Wednesday. You can check that out. All of our usual guests were here this week, all available, Inforum.com, WDAY+. And we do it every day. That's the fun part about it. We get to do it again coming up on Monday. Couple things here before we wrap up the week. Obviously, we got the Minnesota State track meet going on. We'll keep you updated on that. The Spuds have a heck of a chance to do something special there with their boys track team that won the section championship last week. That's going on. I believe it's St. Michael. They used to have it at Hamlin. In the last few years, it's been at St. Michael, Albertville. We'll update you on that coming up on Monday's show. Also be back on Monday. We'll see what the Twins do with their 3 games left with the Royals. They get set to head out on a quick roadie to Detroit. And we'll be through 2 games of the NBA Finals because they will be off both Saturday and Sunday, and 3 games of the Stanley Cup. So we'll get into that. Speaking of the NBA, this is the series schedule after last night, or excuse me, on Wednesday night with New York's win by 10 over the Spurs. We got Game 2 coming up tonight, then travel. So there's 2 days off, so no games Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday night, Game 3 at Madison Square Garden, and then Game 4 will be Wednesday night at MSG as well. I believe the president is going to be at Madison Square Garden on Monday. So already an amped atmosphere now adds that level to what's going on for game number 3. Speaking of amped, this just came across my Twitter timeline. We're talking about the college baseball super regionals starting up later today. West Virginia is hosting Cal Poly. This is the scene apparently in Morgantown. Cal Poly's hotel room is across from the ballpark. Now, West Virginia said for people that can't get in, they were going to get pepperoni rolls. Not pizza rolls, sorry, pepperoni rolls. I'm assuming that's the same thing. Was told they saw people lined up on Randy's Ridge starting at 8 a.m. The game isn't until, I think, 5. Filled up nicely, especially with Randy and Amanda Mazey passing out pepperoni rolls earlier. I guess they're a bit excited about the game later tonight between no, I'm sorry, that's coming up here. It's an 11 a.m. start with Cal. That's coming up at the top of the hour, so which is on ESPN2. So if you're interested to see that, that's coming up here shortly. There's 4 games today. Cal Poly, West Virginia at 11 a.m. USC and North Carolina at 2. North Carolina's got Jake Schaffner on their team, former Bison standout shortstop. He's now North Carolina's maybe best player on their roster. Little Rock and Troy play at 4, and then Ole Miss and Auburn play tonight at 7. So and those games are all televised, ESPN2, ESPN, ESPNU's got everything there. So if you're looking for baseball that doesn't drive you crazy like the Twins do, I offer you the college baseball tournament that gets going later today. With that, that's a perfect segue. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch, brought to us by our great friends at Northwestern Mutual. I mentioned Game 2, Knicks and Spurs tonight, 7:30 on WDAY. Knicks lead that series 1 game to none. Again, a reminder, the Twins are on Apple TV tonight. So if you're looking on your normal spots and don't see them, that's why. Streaming only for the Twins in Kansas City, 7 o'clock on Apple TV. We mentioned the Memorial underway, 1 o'clock on the Golf Channel there with the best in the world are playing this golf tournament. We're a couple weeks out from the U.S. Open, so you can imagine that's a pretty good field. Looks like our guy Tom Hoagie will not be available, though, for the weekend. Also, speaking of the weekend, we got Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. That's tomorrow night on WDAY, 7 o'clock. Hurricanes and Golden Knights from Las Vegas. Series tied at a game apiece. Yeah, if we get another game like we've had the first two, let's go. Also on WDAY tomorrow, the Lynx are in action. They take on Seattle at 1 o'clock. Olivia Miles, by the way, might be the best player in the WNBA right now. She plays for Minnesota. And the final round of the U.S. Women's Open from Riviera, 4 o'clock on NBC. Primetime golf. That's going to be ending under the lights. We got to roll. Thanks to our guest today, to Cory Provus and to Cami Nauholz. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here on Monday.